This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Thank you, David. Welcome to DBL. It's Monday, August 9th. It's August 9th. I'm Tori here with Brandon and Erica. Jeff has the day off, thank God.
Until August 11th.
That's right. I'm just kidding. I love the guy. Let's get started. President Obama's 60th birthday party was a star-studded affair. The Obamas held the bash at Martha's Vineyard Saturday night, but the guest list was trimmed down from the nearly 500 people who were originally invited after some criticized the decision to hold a big party in the midst of the latest COVID crisis. Now, there were not too many pics online of the actual event, but singer Erykah Badu posted this, then deleted this photo of Obama dancing. And anytime you see dads dancing, it's my favorite in motion. As for the guest, not a lot of people. Steven Spielberg, Beyonce, Jay-Z reportedly made the cut, as did Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade. Gayle King posted this pic from the party and captioned it, quote, "Still going hard on the island." Chrissy Teigen and John Legend posted a series of pics with a mansion in the background. But it appears that Larry David was bumped off the guest list. Yes, he was uninvited, along with David Letterman and Conan O'Brien. And if Jeff were here, he would say this would make a really good Curb Your Enthusiasm, getting uninvited. Have either of you ever been uninvited from a party? Or have you had to uninvite someone? That's hard too.
No, not so much. I'm one of those people, you have to have me on the guest list or else your party is going to be really boring. But imagine like how terrible that should feel. Like, hey, Dad, are you coming to my soccer game this weekend? Sorry, son, I'm going to Obama's 60th, you know, and then have to turn right back around. And now you got to go to your kid's soccer game, you know?
Hey, Avery. I do think that the list also, not only is it status, but how much money perhaps they've raised, also how close they are to the Obamas. I think that is how you cut down on the list. What do you think?
It's like people always talk about this because most people get this experience with weddings.
Right.
But the truth is, if you're someone who constantly hosts social events and you have big gatherings, there is kind of like, I don't even create lists anymore. I just have everybody in my system.
Wow.
And it's like it's very much like it's a closeness, it's an energy, it's the nature of what the event is about. It's if there is beef or issues between two people, one will not get invited.
You are a good hostess.
All the time. And I'll say it, like, this is the reason why. And next time, it's cool. But right now, like, for this particular thing, it's a no.
I like that you said for the energy of the party. You have to pick who's going to make the best energy of the party. That's probably why you're invited to something.
And just think, this is the who's who of A-list celebrities. So remember back in high school when you're like, oh, I hope the cool kids invite me. You know, Tori, I'm sure you had nights like that.
What do you mean? I was fine. I was invited. Huh? All right, let's move on. A couple more stars are weighing in on their hygiene habits. With this hygiene thing, I can't. Speaking to Vanity Fair, Jake Gyllenhaal said he finds bathing to be less necessary at times. Adding that not bathing can be good for your skin as we naturally clean ourselves. We're not cats. We don't lick ourselves. That's gross. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson also chimed in after a fan questioned his hygiene, calling himself the opposite of a non-washing celeb because he showers 3 times a day. Now, the whole thing started after Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher said they only wash their kids when they see dirt on them. I mean, just wash your body.
I find the unnecessary word is just, it's so interesting. The only time that bathing is less necessary is if you're quarantining by yourself.
Right.
Because necessity is dictated by those around you.
The others.
It's not you. You're always, sometimes you're the last to know, but other people around you are like,
you smell.
What is that smell?
Then
it's like, it's you.
And also, Jake Gyllenhaal, come on. Now I'm going to think you stink every time I see you on TV.
And for them to say they don't bathe their kids unless they see the dirt, now you're the parent that has a smelly kid at school.
Exactly.
And that's a problem.
Yeah. I totally agree. We also have Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard. We did get to speak with them, which is super exciting. And later in the show, we got to ask them about their hygiene habits with their kids. And rightly so. She's like, this is what we're talking about, which is true. I agree. But it was sort of funny at the same time. All right. Quentin Tarantino, this is so interesting to me, says he has no intentions ever to give not even a penny of his fortune to his mom. Speaking on the Moment podcast, Quentin said his mom never encouraged him to be a writer, belittled him for writing screenplays as a kid, instead of focusing on his schoolwork. So let's take a listen to Quentin.
With the finger quotes, this little writing career that you're doing, that is over. And when she said that to me in that sarcastic way, I was in my head and I go, okay, lady, when I become a successful writer, you will never see penny one from my success. There'll be no house for you. There's no vacation for you, no Elvis Cadillac for mommy. You get nothing.
Okay, so the three of us kind of were talking a little bit beforehand about this. I find this fascinating because he seems to be still in the anger. He's not sort of looking back. He's almost present tense, like you're not gonna get anything. So A, I hope he goes to therapy and works on that. I know he's done that before. But B, it's interesting to see the violence, especially on women, that Tarantino has in his movies and the anger he has for his mother. And I don't want to get all Freudian, but psychologically, there's something there.
No, there's definitely something there. And I think what I've learned over the past year or so is, trauma is an iceberg. And especially when it comes to early childhood trauma, you only see what the top of it is and the rest is submerged below water. So he's talking about the top, which is his mother said all of these things about him being a writer. But what's laying at the surface that he's probably not talking about is far greater, and that's probably the root of a lot of it. I am not a psychologist. I am not a psych anything.
Right.
But I do understand that especially when you're speaking about certain traumas, you're generally speaking about the trauma, a part of it that's easiest for you to cope, and you've kind of released
And
that.
you haven't even talked about.
You haven't talked about any of that. So who knows what else he might have been subjected to, and he's blaming his mother.
Yeah.
And she might very much still be responsible, but I don't think you get that type of reaction from someone at that age unless it runs really deep.
And I'm thinking, is this an appropriate way of coping? Because if you look at him, I'm thinking about Eminem growing up, what he used to say about his mother, and
In his art.
And then it turned around on his wife, the mother of his kids, Kim. So it's one of those things where it's like we get this brilliance and we get entertained, but deep down inside, who knows what that person is going through? And for me, it's the exact opposite. I praise my mother every chance I get, because my first big check in the NFL, I gave her $10,000 and said, boo, go do something with it. Go get your nails, your hair did, your feet did, whatever it is. But it's because she pushed me the entire way. When I moved out to LA, fell on my face and didn't know if I wanted to do TV and all, she goes, you're not going back to Canada. You're not going back to football. This is your new life. So I look at that, and yes, that's disturbing in a way, but at the same time, there are a lot of us who are like, when Tupac's Dear Mama come on, we get us a tissue.
It's coming on.
Get us a tissue.
But it's funny too, in the weird way, is that Quentin Tarantino's mom pushed him just as hard in a way, because she said you can't do it.
Yeah, sometimes you succeed out of spite alone.
Totally. It's so interesting. All right, we do want to take a quick moment to remember two stars who passed away over the weekend. First, this woman I loved, actress Markie Post. Night Court. She passed away on Saturday after a 4-year battle with cancer. She was only 70 years old. Just a great comedic timing with that woman. Markie was best known again for playing lawyer Christine Sullivan on Night Court. Great show. And former child actress of the 1930s, Jane Withers, also passed away on Saturday at the age of 95. She started in showbiz when she was 3 years old and got her big break starring with Shirley Temple in the movie Bright Eyes. May they both rest in peace. Not easy.
Yeah, not at all.
Not easy,
Not
but,
at all.
and to Markie's family, only because I was a fan of hers, she had a lot of big giants of comedy around her, like John Larroquette. She always held her own. Really great timing. My thoughts go out to both families. Coming up on DBL, our interview, yes, I said it, with Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard. What do they really think about all the headlines all the time? And the front runner to be Jeopardy's new host ain't sitting well with a lot of you. Who is Mike Richards? We'll tell you coming up.
Closed captioning provided by
The Quentin Tarantino thing, I think one day maybe he writes some sort of what do they call those? Memoirs. Autobiography, and he really kind of, I think that's a story within itself. That's a movie within itself on how he kind of had his rise and what he had to go through. And now, like Tori said, when you look at the violence, when it comes to women in his movies, it's almost like him acting out or crying out in a way, and that's just unfortunate to me in a sense.
Yeah, I think when it, we may never know the root of what has happened in his story, and to be honest, not everybody deserves that sense of transparency, especially when it comes to someone's trauma. Like when I was referring to, like the trauma iceberg, I'm looking at it more so from, I work in child welfare, so it's been interesting to see like the effects, not interesting, devastating, to see the effects of what happens when children aren't cared for in a nurturing way or aren't given the resources that they really need to thrive. And I think a lot of people have a lot of unspoken trauma because they came from parents who were also traumatized as children, and they don't know, and they are unhealed, and the cycle can continue to go on and on until it's broken. And for him to be forthcoming with this tiny piece of what she said to him, you know that there was, for a parent to articulate that to their child and demotivate them like that, then there's some other layers of, systemic and maybe mental abuse, maybe physical.
And really quick, they say about violence with women, there's a lot of female heroes in Tarantino's movies, like Kill Bill and all that, but what the main thing people say is, like, you don't see the type of violence against women, like the beatings and the hateful eight. You see Jennifer Jason Leigh just getting beaten up, or, so anyway, that makes me think, is there a connection between the two? Again, I'm not a psych anything, as Erica said, which I like. I'm not a psych anything.
All right, welcome back to DBL. There's a bit of an uproar with all of you over the reported new host of Jeopardy. So the show's executive producer, Mike Richards, is said to be in talks to become the permanent host. But a couple of old allegations against him have come to light. He was sued by 2 models for harassment about a decade ago when he was producing The Price is Right. One model was awarded more than $8 million in damages, and the other case was settled out of court. Now, some viewers aren't happy with this choice. One tweeted, quote, "Jeopardy fans finding out Mike Richards is the new host. What is pain?" And others were upset that fan favorite, I was really upset, LeVar Burton was passed over. Remember, he did Reading Rainbow. He helped with education early on. He would have been an amazing host, and he still could be. One wrote, quote, "What is a terrible decision?" I agree. Earlier today, Mike Richards addressed the allegations in a memo to Jeopardy staff. He said the comments and actions in the lawsuits did not reflect the reality of who he is. Full disclosure, I hosted with Mike Richards for a very long time at Reel's channel before he became producer at The Price is Right and Let's Make a Deal. With me, he was excellent, very kind. I have nothing but good things to say. However, ask me, Brandon, do you think this is a good decision?
Do you think this is a good decision?
I think this is the worst decision you could have ever made.
Really?
I think this is a white male at a time where they could have used a person of color to give credibility to education and black men. I also think this man was the executive producer, and he picked himself. The ego, and I love Mike Richards, really, I really do. The ego in that, and to not think that this would go badly is astonishing to me in this day and age.
I want to just backtrack because I just want to clarify about Jeopardy. It would not lend credence or credibility to black men. I just want to say it because I know that's not what your intention was.
No, I just meant that, you're right. I didn't mean to say that, but it would help. I would feel like it would help move that forward.
Well, I think LeVar Burton was a great choice because literally he was the part of the fabric of helping us to read.
That's right. I was going to say, he started
it's like the fundamental.
Right,
so this is like the graduate. It makes so much sense. But in terms of this particular person, it just goes against, it's the antithesis of anything that someone would think about in order to carry on the legacy of Jeopardy.
Right.
I can understand the sentiment in thinking, he knows the show so intimately, why don't we just plug him in? But that also does not leave any room for these much bigger names that people were rooting for, which means that this fan base is coming to support them. He doesn't have that type of fan base and that type of support. So it kind of breeds very narcissistic to just plug yourself in when everybody's like, who is this man?
Who is Mike Richards? And I will say the only way I can come to terms with it, Brandon, is perhaps, now he only was executive producer of Jeopardy for a little bit of time before he has now said he's in advanced negotiations to be host. I wonder if Alex Trebek had any position or asked or handpicked him in a way. If that's true, there gives a little credence to this choice. Otherwise, this is a lose in every category. And I like the guy.
I'm thinking Mr. Trebek had to, because if you think about it, in today's climate, Me Too, Cuomo, everything that we have going on right now, an $8 million payout, and this is the guy?
I agree. Let us know what you guys think. What is your choice? Who is your choice? LeVar Burton is clearly the best answer.
Aaron Rodgers.
Coming up, Kristen and Dax on DBL. They tell us all about their new game show, plus what they really think about being in the headlines nonstop.
Close to 100 million Americans who are eligible for the COVID vaccine still have not gotten a shot, and that could be an expensive decision. Let's connect the dots. The vaccine has proven to be incredibly effective at preventing hospitalizations from COVID. Even if a vaccinated person has a breakthrough case, they are much less likely to end up in the hospital because of it. If you do end up hospitalized, it can be devastating for more than just your health. Kaiser Health News reports that some patients are getting six-figure bills for coronavirus hospital stays. And insurance companies could make those costs even higher if you're unvaccinated. Many policies won't cover treatment for what they call risky activities like rock climbing, scuba diving, or even smoking. Some companies may decide that staying unvaccinated falls into that category. So far, insurance companies have not said if they'll charge unvaccinated customers more. Experts agree a price increase probably won't happen until vaccines have full FDA approval. But it's something to think about, as Pfizer could get the okay later this month. And that is Connecting the Dots.
Welcome back to DBL. We talked to Dax Shepard and Kristen Bell about their new game show, Family Game Fight. It's really funny. There's pies in the face. That's today's Chatting with the Stars. America's favorite husband and wife are going head-to-head in a new game show called Family Game Fight. And for hosts Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard, you better believe it is game on. So Kristen and Dax, first and foremost, welcome to DBL. For families, this seems like the ultimate game for payback. That said, what irks you the most about each other? For instance, I cannot handle it when my husband doesn't pick up the toys when watching the kids, and then I walk into what looks like a bomb went off. So what bothers you two about one another?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say you should be bothered that the kids don't pick up the toys in that example. It's not his job. It's not my job.
But they are 16 months.
Well,
Do they have any motor control?
Yes.
What? Oh, God. I mean, thousands of things.
I think what's maybe even more interesting isn't what bothers us, but what we've become completely numb to, because that's more impressive. Like, I clear my throat in the morning in a manner that I think to myself all the time, if I live with me, I would shoot me.
Yeah.
And Kristen just seems to not hear it, like it's white noise. That's impressive.
I've blocked it out.
Or Kristen leaves all the cabinet doors open everywhere she goes. She doesn't put lids on her medicine bottles.
Me too.
Well, I'm going to need to get back in there at some point.
She's very against closing things. And I almost don't see it now.
That's what good relationships. That's healthy. Hold on, let me clear my throat. Okay, just kidding. I'm sorry. All right, now I'm sure you guys get this. Thank you. You get this question a lot, but hygiene have been in the news lately. Habits with how celebs bathe their children, and you said that you guys wait for the stink, which I love, which kind of shocked people. We want to know, what is your hygiene schedule, and do you stand by your position with your kids?
First of all, can we just acknowledge how hilarious it is that celebrity kids' hygiene is a thing in the news?
I know.
Like, we're in a pandemic, and that's what we're talking about? I mean, I get it. It's interesting. Look, we treat everything as a joke. So, but I will say, It's not so much of a joke that I wait for the stink. That tells you when they need to bathe.
Well, and also we had said, we did bathe them religiously for the first few years when the bedtime routine was so vital. But
Yeah,
once that wasn't required to get them to go to sleep, we took our foot off the gas. But I'll just say, for America, Kristen has better hygiene than me.
Excellent.
So I think in general, because Kristen wears makeup more often than I do, she has to take it off. And she has hairspray and she's got to get rid of it. I'm not in that stuff that often. So I only have to when either a smell is present or I'm in that stuff, the accoutrement of acting.
Well, this is the other thing is California has been in a drought forever. So
this is our political movement.
Good.
It's also just like responsibility for your environment. We don't have a ton of water.
Yeah.
So when I shower, I'll grab the girls and push them in there with me so we all use the same shower water, and I don't know, it just happens whenever it happens, I guess.
The bottom line is mine could be better.
Well, we certainly appreciate your environmental advocacy, for sure. But people also appreciate how very open and honest America's favorite couple has been about being in therapy. So what is the best relationship advice you've been given?
Boy, I wouldn't even know where to begin because we've been chiseling away at this for 14 years. But I mean, first and foremost, I think they should teach in elementary school how to pose a conversation with someone you care about, like an iMessage, I think they call it in therapy, which is just when you do X, no judgment. I'm not ascribing intention to it, but when you do X, I feel Y. That simple way of communicating, had they taught us that in elementary, I'd probably still be with my first girlfriend.
And there's so many different, I think the better umbrella to put it under is everyone, this is what we tell our kids, everyone is born with a tiny toolbox, like a Barbie-sized toolbox. Yeah. And you need tools to communicate with other humans. So you have to spend your life gathering tools. You'll deal with someone who's an introvert and needs a softer side. You'll deal with someone who's very edgy and needs you to be bolder. And you have to have those tools in your toolbox. So continue your entire life to get the tools, and you get the tools through, advice and therapy and reading books or however you get it. And if you have a big toolbox, life will be easier for you.
I love that. That's wonderful. Really good advice. And now I'm going to go home and get mad at my 16-month-old for not picking up after him. Miles! But no, Kristen, I have to tell you, if I were to meet for instance, when I came to work today, I said, Sophie, I'm going to interview the real Anna. She freaked out. She always wears her Anna outfit. There she is. Speaking of environmentally friendly and sustainable, she wears that outfit every day.
I love that. I love that phase where they're wearing the shredded costumes that are made out of plastic, and you just can't get them out of it.
Well, it sounds like she's fighting back for another cause too, which is the disposable clothing movement.
Yes.
She's not doing it that way. She's going to wear it till it disintegrates.
Sustainability, that's my girl. For all the viewers out there, you have to watch Family Game Fight. We watched it last night. I like the pies. It's incredible. Make sure you watch it Wednesdays on NBC. We appreciate you both. Keep killing the game. We'll be right back.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
The Verify team is here to clear up confusion and debunk misinformation. And when it comes to this new infrastructure bill, we've seen a lot of questions online. After all, it's more than 2,700 pages, leaving some to wonder what's actually in the bill. Take this tweet: measure to require alcohol monitors in all new cars hidden in infrastructure bill. And that's just one of many tweets that we've seen, some showing cars with breathalyzers. So let's verify what's true with the help of our sources: the Bipartisan Policy Center, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and the bill itself. Let's start there on page 1066, this section titled Advanced Impaired Driving Technology. It mandates that new cars will be equipped with technology that would, quote, passively monitor the performance of a driver to accurately identify whether that driver may be impaired, and then prevent or limit operation if an impairment is detected. So we can verify that yes, that's currently in the bill. And here's the timeline, according to Zan Fishman from the Bipartisan Policy Center. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration will have up to 3 years to set the rules for what technology applies, and car companies will then have 2 to 3 years to get in compliance, although the secretary can extend this if need be. All in all, we're talking about within the decade, but possibly a lot sooner. To learn more about what the tech might look like, we went to the advocacy group Mothers Against Drunk Driving, which has been pushing for this policy for years. Stephanie Manning says they're not talking about putting breathalyzers in every new car.
No, we're talking about passive technology where the driver just gets in the car and drives, just like today. The driver won't notice anything, won't have to take any action. We're not talking about getting police involved. We're not talking about calling the cops on anybody. That is not what this is. We're talking about preventing crashes before they happen so that the cops don't have to show up and take people to the hospital and, or worse, the morgue.
With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments, and we got about Mike Richards. I'm so confused by this Mike Richards person being the possible host. A bigger name would work better, in my opinion. So let us know who you would love to see. Obviously me. DBL is new every day. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye, guys.